I think it will come down to a question of value and vision. The fact of the matter is, on January 23rd, Canadians can elect Jack Layton, who's flip-flopped on every key issue that's important to Canadians. On the question of national unity, the fact of the matter is he didn't support the Clarity Act. When Quebecers have consistently voted in 2 separate referendums that they want to be in Canada.
Do you think this is going to be the ballot question British Columbians are asking themselves when they go to vote on January 23rd? Let's talk about BC.
Let's talk about
Neither
BC.
the Liberals nor
let's talk about
Conservatives
how
do a
well
very good
British
job of
Columbia
that.
has done under Paul Martin. British Columbia has never been better represented. Look at our caucus. Look at our cabinet. David Emerson, Ujjal Dosanjh. We're at the table. We're being represented. Let's look at how much has been invested in the Olympics, in the Canada Line, in Pine Beetle. A number of projects have been supported, and we've never, ever benefited as greatly as we have under Paul Martin and having key players such as David Emerson and Ujjal Dosanjh representing this province. And that is a fact, and you can't deny that.
I think when British Columbians go to the polls, they're going to be asking themselves what kind of parliament they want to see, and whether they want to see majority parliament with either of these parties, implementing, in the case of the Liberals, of course, an agenda that they don't deserve to be able to implement after these years of scandal and mismanagement, or the Conservatives implementing an agenda that British Columbians, I think, for the most part, simply think is wrong. They're misguided.
Two things that seem to come up to me, and one is, are we a country of common good or a country of fend for yourself? And what does that really mean? A party that's for the common good, or are we a fend for yourself nation individually?
It's interesting that you raise that, because the fact of the matter is this country is a country of common good. And one of the reasons Canadians voted in a minority parliament last time is because we've seen the tremendous good work that minority parliaments have done in the past. Look at the minority governments of Pearson. There was an opportunity for us to repeat that, especially with the current economic state of our country. But these 2 political parties, Jack Layton and Stephen Harper, wanted to play politics. They didn't want to bring forward the issues. They didn't want to address the things that Canadian cares about.
No,
that's a fact.
This is funny to hear a Liberal trying to blame the opposition for bringing about the election. Let's be clear.
Why are we here? Why are we fighting an election campaign?
Because Paul Martin
refused
to take Jack Layton's common sense compromise that was supported by Stephen Harper to have an election that started in January, so we didn't need to spend our holidays worrying about politics. Let's be clear. It's the Liberal record of mismanagement, the 12 years of promising to fix problems and not doing it. That's why we're in an election right now. So are you saying then that Jack Layton is going to work with Stephen Harper as Prime Minister? I'm saying that our elected members are going to work with whatever parliament Canadians decide. Where's the common ground with Stephen Harper and Jack Layton on same-sex equality? Stephen Harper's #1 priority as Prime Minister is going to take away. You're trying to put words into my mouth. That's a fact. Words into our mouth, and I'll let you keep trying to do it, but you're wrong. That is a fact. He's going to scrap the principles that we have, the agreements we have in principles with the provinces on daycare. That is a fact. Those are policies that the NDP. So the Liberals want the ballot question to be fear of the Conservatives, as we can see here. They're not wanting to talk about the issues. They're not wanting to talk about getting results in Parliament. They're wanting to butt heads with Stephen Harper, whereas our party wants to get things done. That's how we've stood apart.
Let's take an issue, national daycare program, because it illustrates a little bit of where some of the parties stand. At the moment, we do not have a national daycare program. Question 1, should we have a national daycare program? If so, what should it look like? Joel?
Absolutely. Well, as Conservatives, we believe that the money is best spent in the hands of people who know what to do with it. That's clearly the parents. And it's clear that the Liberals don't agree with that. The Conservatives think money is best spent giving it to the parents. The Liberals don't trust parents, quite frankly. And we've seen that with comments from Scott Reid, the Prime Minister's Director of Communications. This man speaks for the Prime Minister himself, and he thinks that parents would spend the Conservatives' tax credit of $1,200 a year on beer and popcorn. And we just think that's absolutely outrageous. It's an insult to parents, and it's an insult to Canadians. And quite frankly, people here in British Columbia have been crying out for a government that steps up and trust them with their money. And that's what the Conservatives are going to do. Well, the Liberal daycare program only helps select parents.
So $1,200 to parents,
to every parent,
to every parent, not a needy parent necessarily, to every parent. Let them do with it what they choose to do with it, and if that means hiring grandmother to look after the children, it's not a broad social program. Liberals say broad social program better, national care, let me take care of you, or what?
Yeah, I actually want to clear up. Let's not misconstrue here. First and foremost, Scott has already gone on the record and said that what he said was very stupid. It was a stupid thing to say.
Gaffe.
But that's
one of the gaffes.
That's taking away from what the fact of the matter is. Let's let's discuss this. And Jill would be well advised to actually look at the Conservative Party's history books, because in 1984, Bryant Mulroney actually campaigned on national daycare, but it's interesting that now they've taken a different position. The fact of the matter is, our position is more popular with working women. Our position is more popular with working parents, because working parents recognize that this provides them, national daycare provides them with an opportunity where their children have access, and they can go and be confident that when they're working, their children are in a learning environment that stimulates them, which early childhood experts say it's the best way that children can learn.
Why should working parents believe you're going to deliver, though? We've heard promises like this from the Liberals for the last 10 years.
The last time I checked, we signed agreements
promises on childcare, promises on the environment. We've got Paul Martin flaming out against George Bush on Kyoto, whereas he's allowed pollution in Canada to skyrocket compared to pollution levels in the U.S.
George Bush? I'm not
talking about Stephen Harper. I'm talking about.
I'm trying to picture what the next parliament would be with your leader and him as prime minister, and his position with George Bush. I mean, you actually think that there will be a delivery for the daycare that the NDP has professed to advocate for the last better part
I got to say, it's rather frustrating, Fanny, to show again the refusal of the Liberals to engage in a meaningful discussion about the issues and the kind of parliament we want to see. New Democrats are running to have greater representation so we can get results for people.
We were continuing, and are continuing to work on daycare. We wanted to work on daycare. We wanted that to be one of the primary legacies of this
people don't believe you anymore.
Okay, let's ask what people believe, because as you know, rhetoric is one thing, promises, trying to get elected, make some promises. Will we see it? Will it happen? Should it happen?
Absolutely. There's no reason anymore to believe the Liberals. They have no credibility, and the last thing we need is another national program, multi-billion-dollar national program run by the Liberals. I can already tell you what will happen. We've seen it with the gun registry. We've seen it in human resources. It'll spiral out of control. The cost won't be what they tell us. They'll tell us it'll cost this amount of dollars, and all of a sudden the next month or the next week, we'll be told it's different, and the costs have ballooned.
My understanding is that
we will deliver on our priorities.
My understanding is we're presently, not we, but the makers of the Indo Gang report are sitting on it until January 23rd. Could be political, could be some of the I's aren't dotted, I don't know. But it is a problem. It's certainly a problem in the West. It's a gun violence in Canada. A problem. It's not out of control, according to the police. It's a horrible thing, and handguns are horrible and all of that. How do we solve it? Where do we start? Where's the vision in stopping youth violence?
Well, let me just say, Fanny, this is an issue that the Liberals have dropped the ball on, and the Liberals will tell us, let us solve the problem. But that's like letting, and like Bernard Lord, the Premier of Brunswick, said, the Liberals run around like pyromaniacs with the matches and the gasoline in their hand. They light a fire, and then they turn around and say, oh, let us put it out. But we need a conservative approach to crack down on crime. We need a conservative approach to get tough with criminals.
And what does that
mean? And put gun criminals where they belong, in jail, behind prison, with appropriate sentencing. Mandatory minimum sentences. Stephen Harper today announced criminals who use guns in violent crimes will be sent to jail for at least 5 to 10 years.
And the big question is that a deterrent?
It may be a deterrent, but it's not going to solve the problem. And this is another area again where Liberals make promise after promise, but their actions don't support their words. They're talking about hiring an additional, I think it's 75 border guards to work at our Canadian crossings. We know, of course, the majority of illegal handguns cross in from the United States. Yet 75, I believe, is the number, additional border agents isn't going to make a difference when 58 of the crossings don't have people there staffing them 24 hours a day. And I believe it's 50 of them don't even have video cameras to record crossings that are made when there's not supervision. So instead of talking about these programs that are essentially boutique programs that aren't going to solve any of these problems, re-announcing policy decisions that have been made far in the past, I think the Liberals ought to be making some legitimate commitments about giving our men and women working on the border the tools they need, the funding they need to do their job properly. And a big part of that job is to stop the flow of illegal handguns from the United States, and Paul Martin has failed to make that happen. And this time, the Liberals don't deserve our vote.